You gonna start with that?
Mm-hmm.
With the drink in here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Right. Yeah, I'm gonna be real with it. 3, 2, 1. Hey guys, welcome back to CLD Services. I did my best friend's bike, Andrew. He has a 2002 VTX 1800C. The difference between mine is a VTX 1800R. Is the length and the rear fender mock-up. But for the majority, it's motor-wise, drivetrain-wise, and even suspension is about the same. I did my friend's bike, started in March, finished it last month, which would be June. I was supposed to do my other friend's bike. He also has a VTX 1800. Oh no, he has a VTX 1300C. The reason why I couldn't do his bike because of the time restraint that he needed, because he rides a lot more than I do, so I couldn't get to his bike, unfortunately. We kind of crossed paths and he ended up doing it himself. He did a good job. He did a, I say almost electric blue with silver flake. You guys will probably see some pictures and some videos of that. And then you have my best friend Andrew here that I did his bike, and we did the color you guys already seen. We're gonna go over how the scheme went and how we went down with the process as far as talking about it. You guys know when it comes to the process of it, I like to talk about suspension, the color, powder coating if any, audio, anything else to kind of pick off. A lot of my guys leave me to my artistic values to kind of run with it. How did you figure you wanted the VTX, and where did you go from it, starting from the suspension?
So as far as the reason why I went with the VTX, like you said before, you have one, and our boy Cody has one, and I just like the way they look. You know, I had a Velusa 800 before, so I was looking for an upgrade as far as motorcycle motor-wise and everything. Got to the point where I kind of outgrew the 800. Just didn't have the speed for that it felt like it had when I first got it. So you said Cody has 1300, you had 1800. Honestly, the only reason why I went 1800 versus 1300, 1800 has a gas light on it. My boy's run out of gas before with his 1300 because it doesn't have a gas light or any kind of indicator letting you know whether you're low on fuel. So I was like, you know what, I don't want to be stuck on the side of the road. Went with the 1800. So as far as the breakdown of the suspension, I basically kept it stock. I had looked at possibly going the air ride route like you did. You said as far as the kind of riding I like to do and prefer to do, air ride wasn't going to be the best option just because of having to constantly adjust, go up, go down, based off terrain where we're at as far as riding is concerned. So decided to keep as far as my forks and the rear suspension. I kept all that stock. I did change my handlebars from the stock handlebars to 12-inch apes. I think it does have a 5-inch riser on it, so all in all 17-inch rise. I do prefer the apes just because of the simple fact that when I ride with stock handlebars, I tend to find out I slouch once I ride for a while. So with the apes, it kind of forces me to set up more straight. It's more comfortable for me for longer rides.
Now, what a lot of people don't realize is when you're riding a regular handlebar and you have your hands below your shoulders, your triceps are engaged the entire time. People always ask us, no matter if it's in the same place or in our two different worlds, because he lives about an hour away, people always look at you and say, that looks uncomfortable. It doesn't. You're not up here flexed out. Your elbows are dropped. You're just holding on and you're riding your back straight. Versus when you're here, all your suspension, your triceps are engaged the entire time. Where once you get the apes, you never go back. I started with a Velusa just like he did, and I had the 800. Only difference was I put apes on mine. I let him ride it down the street or whatever. That was a done deal. He went apes and never went back. So every time we get a bike, or every time we're thinking about the next bike we do want to get because we have addiction problems, whatever, is that we're going to always put the price of how much the cables and the handlebars and the grips going to cost, because we're always going apes. One of the nicest things about them is that you will always be in a place where you feel like whatever amount of time you rode, you can double that with apes, in my mind. We went to Ocean City and we rode up there, and that was before you had the apes. And him and my best friend Cody wanted to go in the house, get some drinks, and just sit on the porch. I wanted to get right back on the strip because I was never really affected. Apes is the way to go. And suspension wise, I was telling them about the air ride. Andrew and Cody, my friends, ride everywhere. They literally they'll go to Daytona, they'll go to Ocean City, South Carolina, Myrtle Beach, it doesn't matter. And when they go for rides, like a ride to me is about an hour, pumping my music, just enjoying the ride. These guys, when they say a ride, they're talking about, are we coming back today? Are we going home? Are we going to be home at the end of the day? So that's why I wanted him to, I try to get him to understand that, you know, the air ride is one of those things where you park in a parking lot, you let the thing air out, it's great. You always worry about when you're on turns or kickbacks on the mountains, you have to air up pretty high because you know you don't want your drag bagging. So the way he rides and the way Cody rides, they don't need air ride. They're gonna always need just a normal stock suspension so they can really get in turns and do what they normally do. The next scheme that we'll talk about is performance. Now, luckily, when he bought his bike, he already had a what's your tuner called again?
It was a Power Commander.
He already had a Power Commander. He already has the intake. He already has the exhaust. As far as like inside motor work, it's not many options for the VTXs like they are Harley, but you know, VTX is already known to the knowledge of many that have ever pulled up next to one. It's a Harley killer. Stock for stock, no Harley beats a VTX 1800 period unless it's a V-Rod. That's it. Stock for stock. Even now, my 2003 can pull up to a 2021 Harley and it still will get beat just because the torque is so powerful down low and the horsepower is already at moderate 90 to 100 horsepower. And the torque's like 120 at 3,000 RPM. So I've pulled up next to bikes with bigger motors of mine that are much newer than mine by Harley, and I've taken them out. And not bragging, not saying that was easier. It's just that it's the way the heads are made and the way that Honda makes their motors. It's just the truth. I'm not arguing, but we all know factually that, you know, you dump some money into a Harley motor, and then, you know, we'll put our hands up. We can't touch them. And that's what I'm building over here. As you guys know, you'll see in the Road King build that the motor I'm putting in there is going to be a stock motor. I need it to be at least just like that VTX 1800 I have, or a lot more. So stock for stock, 1800 is definitely a way to go. So the power wise, he already has the Power Commander intake and exhaust. His exhaust is a Vincent Hines. Yep. I think it's a slash cut or something like that. Anyhow, he's going with a 2-in-1. Like I try to convince him, and the 2-in-1 that I'm telling him to go with is going to be by
SLK Customs.
SLK Customs. Nice exhausts. They come with a pretty reliable source from as far as the reviews. They look good. They really do. And the intake, I believe the intake you already have on there. I'm not sure who it's by, but you know, it's nothing really to do for performance. It was already there, so I didn't have to mess with that personally. The next part is I'm gonna let him tell you about how we chose the color, and I'm gonna let him give his experience with me with that.
So as far as the color, I mean, there was kind of a lot of back and forth with that. I couldn't quite decide on what color I wanted to go. Like you said before, our boy Cody, he has kind of like a blue color. I thought his was more of like a red, so I kind of didn't want to go that route just because I wanted to do something a little different. Originally the bike was silver, which I had considered keeping it that color as well, but was denied that one as well. So I went through a couple of color options, went through like a crimson red, a black cherry, pearl, what we looked at, like a forest green, before we finally kind of decided on the color that I have on it now, which you know, looking at it online versus looking at how it is on the bike, the online didn't do it justice. Comparing my bike to his bike now, I can definitely tell that his is more like an orange versus a red, like I originally thought. But the color, I mean, it turned out 1,000 times better than I thought it was going to. Like I said, looking at it online just did not do it justice versus how it ended up turning out on the bike. I'm very happy with the turnout.
Getting back to the color, surprisingly, I'm gonna go ahead and put his wife on the on the forefront. Let him know that she actually chose. It was like it was a candy paint red, right? Mm-hmm. It was like a red candy paint, and I was explaining to him, being a rider, that, you know, you're gonna have your nicks and bruises, and that, you know, when it comes time that, you know, your best friend's the painter, you know, repairs, when the repairs need to get done, as far as how easy it is for me to turn them back out, you know, you only have to worry about your base and then your clear, versus with the candy you have to worry about your base, candy, and then your clear. And if you know the different levels to painting a actual candy, it's not easy, because every time you go over coat, you go over a depth of paint, or I should say a tint of the actual candy, that's not the same as the last coat. So It's a lot harder to match sometimes. If you do all the pieces on the bike at one time, you can visually see the difference. But say for instance, he just might have nicked his bag or something, and I only have to do one bag. Well, I don't have the rest of the bike in the booth with me, nor do I want to. And so I don't remember how many different coats I might have done with the candy. So as far as like making it more practical for how his riding style is, he doesn't have a show bike. You don't need a show bike color to ride. Plus when you have darker colors like that, it's harder to maintain. Certain colors you want, I get. If you want a certain color to look good, search online and you visually pinpoint the one you like the best and you choose it. And that's cool. And if you don't mind that, then you go for it. But as far as being practical, if you think about all the badass colors that Harley's ever come out with, or other bikes that you see that do a lot of miles, put like a lot of miles on it, they don't do nothing too out the way, because if anything was to happen, that's the longer your bike has to be put off or out of the way to get replaced or painted. And the color matching, if it's not your same color, that can be hell. But if you know your color, which he obviously does, and you go ahead and take it to that one shop that did it before and have them do it, your turnaround can be pretty quick. You just have to be mindful of certain things that you do as far as like how you wash your bike. You should always wet your bike before you start wiping off the bugs or any debris or dirt like that, because all that stuff scratches your clear coat. So as far as paint management, I try to give him the best advice I could so he can have the nicest paint job
as long as possible.
Another thing that we had to go over in our heads after that was audio. He had he bought, well, let's get back into his Bagger system or his Bagger kit. He got everything as far as your front fairing, your whole rear end kit was from Backyard Air Suspension.
And even actually my headlights.
And even the headlight. They offer things for Harley as well as they do for the Hondas and
Yamaha.
I've never had any problems with them. Like I said, sometimes if they make any errors or mistakes, they own up to it really quick. They don't fight or deny it. So it's just that honesty that you can appreciate. That is the reason why I will keep going back to him, even the time in the future when me and him go ahead and probably go halves on another VTX 1800, and we'll buy another kit for them just the same. As of right now, it's not like I have a promo code, but depending on how many videos I'm putting up on VTX 1800s for Backyard Suspension, we might get a promo code. Never know. I know I'm not that big of a YouTube channel yet, but keyword I say yet because I have plans for it to get bigger. And like I said, those guys have been really helpful and really put us on as far as getting everything we need. So as of now, I guess you could say the extras that he's had is like, we did the hand grips. He has these rearview mirrors that have the signal lights in them. He's got the, LED headlight, and he's got the plasma bars like on my bike. He has in the rear as well too. Lighting wise, it was a fun venture. He actually did a lot of work as far as like figuring out the wiring and everything else. Because when it came to me pretty much just two pieces of the body on and the rest was naked. And if anything, I cleaned up the wires a little bit and might have
bitched to complain a little bit to him, but
he did a lot of the work already, so I didn't have to put in as far as the wiring goes, and it came out great. So as you guys get a visual standpoint, look at it, please take the time to watch the entire video. Of course, please like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell so stuff I put out in the future kind of gets to you guys before anything else, and you guys can check it out.